Before you get injured in the gym, very often your body is going to give you some sort of heads up, some sort of little signal, some warning, something that whatever it is you're doing isn't right. Hey there, how's it going? It is your muscle building coach, Lee Hayward. And this is my first video that I've made in a while. Obviously, we just had Christmas holidays and I took some time off to go visit friends and family. And this was a very special Christmas for us here at the Hayward household. My son Harvey, he's 15 months old now. So he's at the stage where Christmas, he's old enough to, I guess, experience the excitement of Christmas. And it was really fun to see. So I really enjoyed that. And it's kind of bringing some of the magic of Christmas back, if you will, to be able to experience it through the eyes of a child. So I really enjoyed this Christmas, and of course spending time with our relatives and with his grandparents and things like that made it a lot of fun. So obviously I took some time off from making videos, from working out, and the other day I went back to the gym for my first workout in probably a week, and I was scheduled to train legs. That's what I had planned to do. And I went into the gym, did my warm-up routine as usual, and the first exercise that I was planning on doing was front squats. And I did my warm-up set, just warmed up with the barbell, put 25-pound plate on each side, did a set there, and then I went to 135. And when I was doing my warm-up at 135, it's just like, it didn't feel right. For some reason, my hip flexor was just locking up. And as I was sinking down into the front squat, I was just getting this weird twinge in my hip flexor, and it just really was throwing me off, and it was quite painful actually. And now it didn't feel like a muscle pull or a tear or anything like that. It was just this weird sensation that the muscle was not firing the way it's supposed to. So I decided, you know, I'm going to do some mobility exercises. So I did a bit of stretching and a few leg mobility exercises to see if I could loosen it up. Went back and tried to do a couple more warm-up sets of the front squat. No good. You know, I just had that pain there in my hip flexor, and it didn't feel right. So what did I do? I scrapped the leg workout altogether. I said, you know what? If I try and push through this, chances are something's going to go wrong. I mean, before you get injured in the gym, very often your body is going to give you some sort of heads up, some sort of little signal, some warning, something that whatever it is you're doing isn't right. And in my case, doing the squats, the hip flexor was tightening up on me, didn't feel right. So I said, you know what, today is not a leg day. So I just scrapped that and I went on and trained shoulders instead. So I did a totally different body part workout, and I actually had a really good shoulder workout. You know, I did isolation work for all three heads of the delts. I did some compound exercises like overhead presses, some shrug variations, and just basically had a killer shoulder workout, even though it was my scheduled leg day. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because you're going to have to modify your workouts from time to time based on the signals that your body's giving you. You know, we constantly have this mindset of no pain, no gain, train with progressive overload, and go, go, go. And that's great when things are working fine, you know, when everything is working the way that it's supposed to. But rarely does everything go according to plan. You know, sooner or later something's going to change, and you have to listen to your body and pay attention to those cues when you get there. So sometimes it might mean lightening up the weight for an exercise. Sometimes it might mean scrapping that exercise entirely and doing another movement instead. Or in the case what I did with my leg workout, scrap that body part entirely and train something else. And it's good to be flexible like that with your workouts so that you can basically move forward over the long term. And the reason why I really want to emphasize this is because there's very few things that you can do in the gym that will set you back. I mean, if you go and have a bad workout, meaning, you know, you didn't hit any PRs, you didn't really get a good pump, that's not going to set you back over the long term. You know, if you skip a workout, that's really not going to set you back over the long term. You know, if you go in there and the gym is busy and you can't do the routine that you want, or you have to take longer rest periods between sets or waiting on machines, that's not going to set you back in the long term. But if you get injured, you do more than your limit, you know, you push yourself to your limit and beyond and get injured, or if something just doesn't feel right and you end up pulling or straining or, God forbid, tearing a muscle, that is definitely going to set you back. So the only thing that's really going to set you back long term in your workouts is getting injured. So that's why you really need to emphasize injury prevention. That is the #1 key to longevity in this sport. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, it's a lesson that they have to learn the hard way. And I'm guilty of this. I'm trying to share through this video and through all my videos, you know, things that I've learned over the years so that hopefully you don't make the same mistakes that I did. But in my case, I had to learn the injury prevention the hard way. I mean, yes, I always warmed up before my workouts and stuff like that, but I wasn't always acute to listening to my body and modifying my workouts accordingly. Like, and sometimes if an exercise didn't feel right, I would probably push through it anyway, thinking, you know what, don't be a pussy, man up, do the exercise. And that's not the right mindset to have if you're looking for the best solution for longevity in the sport. Sometimes you have to, you know, suck it up and live to lift another day. And that's what I chose to do with my leg workout. And that's what I choose to do with all my workouts now. If whatever I have planned for that day, if something doesn't feel right, hey, I'll be more than willing to modify it. And in some cases, willing to even just walk out of the gym and say, you know what, I'll come back another day because for whatever reason, today is just not my day. And you have to be willing to make those decisions. And if you can do that, it will save you a lot of setbacks later on down the road. And again, I'm speaking from experience because I've had some, you know, big injuries over the years. I've torn my lat, I've torn both biceps, and you know, those type of injuries are not minor. I mean, with the lat injury in particular, and that was a freak injury. That happened back in 2008. I tore my lat. And it was the most freak accident ever because I was actually not even doing a back workout. I was doing squats. I was doing 5 sets of 5, and literally on my 5th rep of squats, I was coming up out of the squat, and then all of a sudden I just felt my arm just went sideways like this, and I racked the weight, and I said, whoa, that was the most weirdest sensation because I just felt this weird grinding sensation in my back right under my armpit. And at the time, I didn't even feel anything. I went to the locker room, took my shirt off, and I was looking, and I said, wow, that looks weird. It's like a gap in my armpit. And then I started talking to some of the guys at the gym who had suffered muscle tears, and I asked them, you know, how did it feel? What did you experience? And a lot of people say, you know, when you tear a muscle initially, sometimes it doesn't even hurt. And in the case with my lat, it didn't even hurt initially. But, you know, the guys got over and stuck their fingers up my armpits and everything else, and they're, yeah, man, there's something detached there. It's not right. And so I went home from the gym, and literally, like, within an hour, then the pain started to set in. Then, you know, within 24 hours, the bruising and the discoloration came about, and, you know, it was a major injury. So, you know, maybe if I had been a little bit more conservative, not pushing myself to the limits, because I have to admit, that 5 set of 5 squats that I was doing, I was pushing, you know, every ounce of effort that I had, and, you know, and it didn't work out for me. I mean, I would have been much better off stopping that workout short and saying, you know what, hey, 4 sets of 5 was enough. I'm not going to try for that 5 sets of 5, but I was so stubborn that I wanted to get the 5 by 5, right? And I wasn't going to give in until I got it, and I suffered a major injury because of it. And that injury took me well over a year to recover from. When I was going through my workouts from that point on, I was literally like lifting the weight of the machine handles. Like, we had the gym I was training had a full line of hammer strength machines, and I was doing all my upper body workouts with literally the empty handles on the hammer strength machine. So that was everything, my pressing exercises, pulling exercises, everything, because the lat comes into play with everything. Sorry about that, the memory card on my video camera was actually full, and I had to restart this video. But as I was just saying, the lat comes into play with virtually every exercise you do, because even if you're doing a pressing move, your lats are stabilizing and supporting muscles. When you're doing rowing exercises, obviously that's a direct lat exercise. Even if you're doing things like overhead presses, tricep pushdowns, or anything like that, again, the lat comes into play. So all of these movements I was limited in because of that injury. So it's not just the actual muscle that you have injured, but it can hinder the workouts for virtually all your major muscle groups because you can't push yourself to the same level of volume and intensity. So basically I was over a year recovering from that injury and going through these little, BS workouts where I'm just going through the motions, trying to get some active recovery to kind of gradually build it up, week by week. And I'm talking about like very slow progress. Excuse me, I would like take the empty handles of the machines, I do that for 1 week, and then maybe a couple weeks later, I put a 2.5 pound plate on the machine and, do it. And people were, looking at me in the gym. So here's this guy, 200 plus pounds, bench pressing on the hammer strength machine, a 2.5 pound plate, literally, right? And it was a big strike to the ego and everything. I mean, because, I'm just going through the motions and, there's no gains being made during this time. It's just pure recovery. And I was just build it up slowly, like that for over a year before I was able to get back to doing weights that were, workout weights that would actually be progressive overload type weights. So again, it's critical that you listen to your body when it's giving you these cues that something isn't right. Live to lift another day. It's a motto that I heard from a friend of mine. He's a power lifter and who's, again, suffered his fair share of injuries. But it's something that I heard over 10 years ago from one of the powerlifters at the gym, and it's a great lesson that you can really, keep that in the back of your mind when you're doing your workouts. If your body's giving you a cue that something isn't right, it just doesn't feel right, even if you've done that same exercise, lifted that same weight before, for whatever reason, our strength fluctuates. Some days we feel stronger than others. Some days, your body's not functioning the same. So, I mean, maybe for whatever reason, your body is not ready to do that same weight, that same exercise. So if you're getting the cue that it's not today, then don't do it. Don't try and push yourself. Instead, just scrap that exercise or even scrap that workout. I mean, if you have to, walk out of the gym and say, I'm going to come back and do it again another day. And if you have that mindset of respecting your body and living to lift another day, you'll be much better off because of it over the long term. So hopefully you found this video helpful, and hopefully it'll help to prevent some injuries. And if you have any questions, comments, or feedback related to this, please feel free to post those down in the comment section below. I'll be happy to chat with you down there. And if you haven't already done so, make sure to subscribe to the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel so that you can stay up to date with all my latest videos. Have yourself a fantastic day, and I look forward to talking to you in my next video. Take care. Over and out.